Clippers, big news from the Clips.
Yeah, 3 o'clock in the morning, the Clippers released Chris Paul, the veteran guard. Paul had already indicated he was going to retire. Evidently, they got tired of it. There was a tirade in the Clipper locker room where Paul went off on his teammates, went off on Coach Tyrone Lue, went off on the general manager, and that ended the relationship. And they informed him at 3 o'clock in the morning he was being cut on a road trip. Clippers are having a miserable season.
3 in the morning.
That's 6-15, yeah. Kawhi Leonard said he was shocked. James Harden said he never saw this coming. But evidently, Paul is such a strong presence and just so vocal that they couldn't allow him to stay on the roster. I think he's done. He wasn't playing hardly at all, and when he was playing, he was not productive. It's kind of a sad way that it's ended up, and boy, the Clippers are an absolute mess. Hockey, what have we talked about for 3 straight years involving the Edmonton Oilers? Goaltending.
Yeah, it's been a problem.
It's still a problem. I mean, look where they are in the standings. It's just absolutely stunning, and now they're not scoring. They're not playing good defense. They're still not getting good goaltending. Big rumor out there that Edmonton is trying to make a trade with the Pittsburgh Penguins, and they might go after the Penguins star goaltender Tristan Jarry. Now, there's a salary cap issue there they're trying to work around, and he's had injuries too. He's had some knee injuries, but Jerry might wind up in Edmonton. NASCAR, this lawsuit is really something. This antitrust lawsuit involving Michael Jordan's 23X team and Denny Hamlin's team. The owner of Hamlin's team, Bob Jenkins, testified yesterday that NASCAR gave him a take it or leave it document. A 112-page document with 6 hours to view. Sign it or you lose your charter and you're out. And Jenkins decided, after he had talked to 13 other owners in the middle of the night, that he was going to sue an antitrust violation against NASCAR. The other 13 owners had already signed the deal, even though they felt it was a bad deal. Jenkins says, I'm not going to do this. He said, I lost 22 years in a row. I lost money with my NASCAR team. Denny Hamlin, who drives for Jenkins, wept when he was on the stand. He said it cost him $700,000 just to put a car on the track to run the 38-race schedule. He said, overall, you need $20 million a year in finances to be able to run. And he said 13 of the 16 NASCAR teams aren't making money, and yet they subscribe to this charter system because it's the only way to get the revenue from NASCAR. The lawyers stood up in the middle and argued with each other, and the judge allowed it to happen, so the jury heard this. The lawyers argued, because they have access to all the documents, that 13 of the 16 teams lost money in 2024, and in 2024, NASCAR put $400 million of resources from racing into the family trust of the France family that owns NASCAR. And Denny Hamlin testified they're double dipping. Not only does NASCAR own NASCAR and put on the events, NASCAR owns 10 to 12 tracks. So all the fees that go to the tracks that the France family owns go to their bank account too. And he said 13 to 16 teams are losing money. He says that's not fair. And he says they're just bullies, and the way they've treated us is terrible. This is a really nasty, nasty story. Formula One. Guess what I'm going to be watching in the middle of the night on Sunday? The Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. It's the final race of the F1 season. You got the points race. You got the madman, Mad Max Verstappen, the cutthroat driver. You got Lando Norris, who leads by only 12 points now in the points championship. You got Oscar Piastri, who's in third place in the points. This is something. They put all 3 drivers on a pedestal for the press conference with the global media yesterday, and it was really funny to hear them talk. Max Verstappen just went public, and he said, I've been here before, gentlemen. I have 4 of these already. He says, I'm going to try to get my 5th. Lando Norris said, I got 7 wins. I believe there's an 8th win coming. I can do this. There's no pressure on me. And Piastri said, I will not be intimidated. We've won 7 races ourselves on my team, and I'm going after this because I would then be the first guy ever in the history to win a championship in F1, F2, and the Young Rookie Series F3. So it's interesting. They had all three guys sitting at a podium, and they all dislike each other, and they all threatened each other during the course of the season. And here they are talking about getting ready for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. So if you're into auto racing, feel free to join us in Fans Forum. Last topic on the table. John and I have been doing this podcast 3 years. We've been talking for 3 years about the merger between PGA Tour, LIV. Rory McIlroy goes public in Ireland, gives up. He says there is no vision for a merger now. He says, we, the PGA, respect all the traditions of golf. And he says the LIV proposals are irrational. They want to change the game. Rory says, I believe in a globalization of the golf tour, but the game of golf is the way we play it. The way we play it at the Masters, at the U.S. Open, or the British Open, not the way they play it over there. And Rory McIlroy says, I see no way that there's ever going to be a merger because those guys are irrational trying to change the game. So, John, a lot of topics starting from Chris Paul. Work your way through that. Here's the green flag. Go ahead.
Okay. Thanks for the permission to go. Okay. So this Chris Paul thing is interesting because I was reading how Paul was joking about, the Clippers and load management and Kawhi. And I think he said, yeah, Kawhi, you are the load. And that wasn't taken well. And I think it's his presence of holding guys accountable that's ruffling the feathers of some of those veterans, other veterans that have been there for a while. And then I saw a clip from 5-10 years ago when Kawhi was still with the Spurs and Popovich was being interviewed. And he was talking about how Patty Mills and Manu Ginobili were the leaders of that team. Kawhi was a good player, but not necessarily a leader. And so I'm wondering if those dynamics are still cooking in the Clippers clubhouse. I mean, what do you think?
I think it's some past history there that you can't be forgotten. These guys all have egos, and if you say something negative 5 years ago, I probably hold it against you.
Yeah. So, but Chris Paul, let's be real. He's past his prime.
He's 40.
Yeah. So I'm surprised that he's still playing ball. I remember I looked up at the NBA, all the oldest players in the league. And yeah, you do see Chris Paul. He's number 2. I think LeBron's the oldest. But who's in that top 15 or so is Brooke Lopez, who's on the Clippers. And you're saying they're old, they're slow. But what a disaster. Everything's going on with the Clippers. All right. So Chris Paul's gone. The F1 thing about the 3 guys at the podium, they're all kind of, peacocking around saying how good they are and how they're going to win. Kind of reminds me of like a press conference before a boxing match.
Yeah.
When Muhammad Ali was out there and he's like, I'm going to show you how it's done. And
mucho macho.
Yeah, exactly. So that's good showmanship. And it is disappointing. The whole Rory McIlroy story. It's like, come on, guys, just fix this. The fix is pretty obvious. Just get together and do it. And it must be discouraging for him.
Yeah, very much so. Okay. Those are all the stories in the world of sports.